Good evening, I'm Jeff Lyons. It is 9 o'clock here on Tuesday night, May 13th. Time for the First Alert Weather Show at 9 p.m. I'm glad you're here. We've got a lot of weather to talk about, including the threat for severe storms Thursday and Friday. And as always, I'm watching your comments on the 14 News Facebook page. So if you have a question or anything, you can put it in there and we'll check those about halfway through the show. Same for our YouTube channel on the 14 News YouTube channel. We live feed there every night too. Don't think we can get you from Roku or the app someday, but if you want to participate, those are the only two ways we have right now. We had a warm, humid day. It's starting to feel more like summer out there. Still can't rule out a few scattered showers tonight, although I think the atmosphere has pretty well shut down for the night. Our first 90s of the year are possible this week, and we're turning our attention to Friday in particular, but maybe Thursday for potential severe weather. So that's kind of the going concern right now. I see one shower, exactly one, kind of buried there in the false returns that we get. Sort of with inversions in that. I believe we've got a little shower here out to the south of Fairfield. We'll put that into motion and see if it has done anything. It's just kind of billowing up there. Let's see if there's any lightning with that too. That would be right along US 45, south of Fairfield and north of Interstate 64. The lone shower here on the weather show tonight. So anyway, that's what's going on the radar. So basically nothing to be concerned with. And, you know, overnight things will stabilize, but then tomorrow as we heat up, we can't rule out a few more scattered showers or thunderstorms during the afternoon. And the same conditions apply. It's going to be hot and humid, or warm and humid. And anytime we get unstable like that, we can see the chance for some storms. And then we get into Thursday, looking more interesting now, but again, mainly to our north, a level 2 risk there for the northern edge of the tri-state. And then by the time we get into Friday, we have a pretty broad area with the potential for severe weather extending throughout most of the tri-state. And this one is a little more concerning, and I'll tell you why here as we get into the information. I did want to go back here to the Thursday risk and note that that is what we would call a conditional risk. The issue here is that we will be capped, at least here in the tri-state, for the majority of the afternoon, meaning there will be warm air aloft that will keep those thunderstorms from growing. And when that's the case, then you know you can have all the heat, all the cape, all the ingredients in the world and not get a lick of severe weather. However, as we know, if even one storm pokes through that cap, oftentimes it can start a chain reaction and you'll get many storms. And because they have kind of the pent-up energy and it's much colder aloft, these storms can grow very rapidly and produce large hail and damaging winds. So, but like I said, we're going to be capped with a pretty sturdy cap over the region for much of the day. So I think if we see anything, it would likely be late Thursday as the cap erodes when the sun goes down. And then Friday, as the cold front moves in, there'll be kind of a stationary boundary oriented here through Kentucky. And that could be the focus for some lines of storms moving across. There's still some uncertainty as to where that will exactly set up. Our models have had it down in Tennessee, but we have a pretty broad area there of concern for Friday. I'll show you what we've been looking at, and of course we look at these on the weather show when they're pertinent. And for Thursday's forecast, you see crosshatching up here on the machine learning probabilities and a purple area, meaning a pretty high probability of severe weather within that zone. It is mainly north of the tri-state. So that's why we're kind of holding back on the alert day there, because we think Friday will be the more significant and impactful disruptive event. Again, based on the machine learning probabilities, you see crosshatching there. The probabilities for higher end severe weather, that would be 2-inch or larger hail, 75-mile-an-hour winds or greater, EF2 tornadoes or stronger, may come into play on Friday. So that is definitely the day to watch. The models leading up to that are pretty sleepy, to tell you the truth. We have southerly winds, humid air streaming in, maybe a few thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, not severe. And then Thursday, for the most part, we are quiet. And then into the evening, our model, and this is the graph model, or the one that we use here internally, showing some storms breaking through the cap to the north, which would be up around US 50. Vincennes, Washington, or well, Washington that way, but Olney, Florida, that area. And that would happen later at night as the cap erodes. And then Friday, it looks like the afternoon hours would be prime for the severe weather threat here in the tri-state. Looking at the severe parameters, the low-level jet stream, which would provide some shear and enhance the development of those storms, is pretty pronounced there on Thursday, but again, we're capped, and then it returns on Friday afternoon and evening. So we would have that low-level jet to potentially rotate the storms and create severe weather. Shear is suspiciously absent still in the models. Now, we can have severe weather and tornadoes in that without a huge amount of shear, but it takes a lot of the other ingredients to be very elevated. CAPE would be one of them. And our dew point, we are going to have a tremendous amount of moisture in the atmosphere by Friday, with dew points possibly as high as the mid to upper 60s or even 70 degrees. And that would be tropically steamy outside. Some of the guidance is pretty robust there, very humid for Friday. Anyway, that would lead to potential for locally heavy rainfall and flooding. Again, Thursday, CAPE levels are high. Friday, they are very high as well over the tri-state. So that's why we're really focusing most of the concern on Friday as a severe weather day. And again, the severe weather threat with supercells, if any, can break through the cap, and that would likely be north of the area. They could become supercells. And then Friday, more pronounced area there of supercell development, the orange and yellow would indicate that. And finally, the tornado threat is showing up in here for Friday afternoon and evening. Again, a little more pronounced and a little more concerning there, mainly east of the tri-state, believe it or not, although you see that yellow covering the entire region. That's a lower end risk. But my concerns, at least Thursday through Friday, go like this. I think, as I told you, we have a conditional threat Thursday. Now, if that cap breaks, then yeah, we're going to have warnings and severe weather, and we will be busy here on Thursday. Friday, though, is more favorable for the reasons I mentioned, and all threats would be in play here: damaging winds, hail, tornadoes, flooding. And high-end severe is a possibility Friday. However, the location, as you saw, the size of that outlook area is still very large. So it will hinge on where the storms develop, and then they take off from there. So my best advice, Tuesday now. We still have a couple, 3 days for this to kind of gel into a solution. In the meantime, you know, just keep an eye on those 2 days. If you have outdoor plans or if you have travel, anything like that that would be affected by severe weather, then you need to pay attention heading into the end of the week. Temperatures right now across the nation, very hot down into Texas, 90 in Dallas right now. It did cool a bit in North and South Dakota and Minnesota, and we're showing temperatures in the 60s and up lower 70s, which is normal for the evening hours here. It's a little warm, warmer than the typical, but not overly so. For today, we did hit 80 degrees. That's 4 degrees warmer than normal, and we only got down to 60 this morning, 4 degrees warmer than normal there too. Our calendar continues to add warmer days, as you would expect, going through May. And you know, yesterday we picked up just under an inch of rain with those storms that came through after the stream show. It was around, well, here it was around 10 o'clock. I think we were looking at those big thunderstorms in was Webster County, down around Poole and Dixon and Wheatcroft, I think down in Providence, that area, and then into Henderson County. Well, those storms netted close to an inch at Evansville Regional Airport. You may have had a lot more on your yard and garden. So for the month, we are now a healthy 83/100ths wetter than the normal, and our average temperature is still trending slightly cooler than the typical May weather. Tomorrow, I'm fully expecting low to mid 80s every place, mainly sunny, a few isolated showers, but generally a quiet weather day. As our low pressure that's been spinning down here, it was over about Clarksville earlier today, it is now beginning to move out toward Lexington, and it'll take all of that cloudiness and unsettledness with it temporarily. High pressure builds in for a bit, and then we get into Thursday to Friday, that first batch of storms perhaps igniting on Thursday night. And then Friday, this is what I was talking about. So we've got like a line of storms here, complex, going across Memphis and into Nashville during the morning. And then by afternoon, and evening, we're expecting to see more development here. Our high-resolution models don't go out that far. They only go out about 3 days. So today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So tomorrow, we should start to have a little better idea of how that's going to play out. 80s, upper 80s, still in the works here for Thursday, Friday, even 90 possible, which would be very close to the record high of 92 on that day. The GFS model for Thursday is still a little bit diffuse here on where those storms will initiate. For Friday night, and this is the updated GFS now, we see things kind of coming together a little later there between 6 and midnight across the area, and then moving out for a dry Saturday and cooler, and then Sunday starts out dry. It should stay dry for the day. Monday we start to get some more thunderstorms back into the picture. Rainfall-wise, with that humid air in place, wouldn't surprise me to see another inch or two of rainfall total between now and next Tuesday. The European model gives us a little better clue on timing. Here you see early Friday morning some showers and storms across western Kentucky. The European is also trending toward later in the afternoon and evening here on Friday for the severe weather threat, and then that drops down into the southeast of the region by early Saturday, dry Saturday, but then the European brings those showers back in on Sunday. And the GFS is kind of flip-flopped on that idea that we would have a little rain Sunday. I have rain chances for both days in the forecast to account for late rain Friday and then Sunday as well. And rain totals on the European are also in that 1 inch to 1.5 inch range. Our pressure is only telling us that we will have a dip there on Friday as the low moves through. 61 tonight with some scattered storms still possible. We'll keep that risk in there even though I think we're pretty much done with the rain. And then 84 tomorrow with warm and humid. We will maintain a 20% chance of rain, just kind of cover your backside, right? I mean, we could get a shower or two at just about any time when it's that warm and humid. Friday, the day to watch, 50% chance for thunderstorms. Many will become severe if all the elements play out the way we think they will. Then quiet Saturday, Sunday, a chance of rain, and next week, more active weather returning too. Longer range, the temperatures drifting back up above normal and wetter than normal on rainfall. Our pet pick tonight, this is Hades. Every dog that's been on the First Alert Weather Show at 9 has looked absolutely bored with what I had to say. Maybe you are too. Cheyenne Hammonds with that picture for us tonight. So thanks, Cheyenne, and thanks, Hades, there for the secure feeling that I'm boring you to tears. All right, let's see what's on your minds tonight. And I'm going to start here with your comments on the Facebook page. So we will go over here first. Emma Rowland's on. Good evening, Emma. How are you? Jeff Miller opened the pool today. All right, so that's our cue then to show up with loaded coolers, not loaded with coolers, loaded coolers and goodies. We'll have the big 14First Alert Weather Show at 9 pool party at Jeff Miller's compound out there in Posey County. I'm glad you got it open. You're going to use it this week, Jeff. It's going to be hot Thursday, Friday. James Garrison, we want good weather. Hopefully Friday isn't bad. Looking forward to eating outside Friday night at Cafe Arazu. Well, and that's very difficult to do in a severe thunderstorm. So make sure you check the forecast before you go to eat. All right. William Raleigh, Gauge by Bossy, you had 1 1/3 inches last night. Whoa, Okay, well, the station had about an inch. That was the number, or the airport had about an inch, 83 hundredths, and I think that, or was it 90? Anyway, it was nearly an inch. Craig McFadden's supposed to get his hail-damaged car back. Oh boy, get someplace to put it, park it under. You know, I've always wondered if you just had like an old like sleeping bag, you know, something kind of puffy, and you just had the foresight to put that over your car, if that would deaden the motion and the impact of hailstones enough to not get all beat up. I never think of that, by the way. Usually when I'm here at the station and we get hail, I'm like, oh yeah, I wish I had a blanket to put over the car, but I didn't. Cheyenne Hammond's been seeing others post that Friday could be a derecho. What do I think? Yeah, I've seen those posts too. And a derecho, for Christopher Perna and others who may not know, is a line of storms that develops and then travels a great distance, maybe 200 miles or more, producing damaging winds the whole way. Derechos are very hard to predict, and the setup for them is similar to what it is just for regular old squall lines, you know, severe weather. So whether or not it will turn into derecho and propagate that far, I can't say. I was a little surprised to see somebody trying to forecast a derecho 3 or 4 days out. You know, it's one of those situations where, because we have common denominators between a derecho and a line of severe thunderstorms, it really comes down more to how the boundaries at the surface are oriented and how the upper wind or steering winds are oriented as well. And if both are lined up correctly, then yeah, you can have a line that propagates and regenerates as it moves along. But the short answer is, I do not know if we'll have a derecho. It's always a possibility, but I would not be comfortable saying, hey, look out, we're going to have a derecho. Okay. Oh, Laura's on from Dawson Springs. Good, Laura. Glad to have you on here tonight. Tori Talbert says it's already sounding scary. Well, it is, but then again, you know, it is May, and it's been a few quiet weeks here. So, you know, severe weather, we will get through it. You will get through it. You just have to, you know, have a plan and stay on top of things so you're not surprised. Tori says, normally when we're calm like this before a storm set up, we tend to get bad weather. Yeah. We try to stay calm all the time. Cheyenne has 7 dogs. My goodness, well, you could stock us with a full week's worth of weather show pets. Yeah, I understand storm anxiety. You know, it's just, that's part of this, and I think the other issue is because there is so much more available information about weather now out there, whether you're on streaming or, you know, wherever you happen to be getting your info, and it can be information overload. So, you know, be judicious about what you're watching, what you're sharing, and all that. And Jeff Miller, we already have one person trying to RSVP for the pool party over on YouTube. Well, see, we might have to have like a YouTube gathering and a Facebook gathering. We're not doing that. We can't just horn in on the Millers uninvited. Well, I guess we could. I don't know where he lived. I mean, I know it's in Posey County, but that doesn't narrow it down very much. All right, let's see. I think that's everybody else. Yeah, so with regard to Thursday, Friday, again, I'll just reiterate that there's still a lot of uncertainty, or there's some uncertainty with how things will start or initiate, and then from that point where they will go. You know, if the storms don't kick off until they're east of the tri-state, we could get a pass. I don't think that'll happen. I think we will get some storms on Friday. So we will keep an eye on everything, as we always do for you, and let you know if any big changes happen between now and then. All right, hey, we had an earthquake this morning. Did you know that? Not here in the tri-state, it was just out, although I know we have some friends here that watch us out of market, and it was near Charleston, up here in southern Illinois, or central Illinois, out to the west of Terre Haute. It was only a 3.3 or 3.3, magnitude and fairly deep within the Earth's crust. 3.3s can be felt, but they tend to produce minor, if any, damage. And they have, of the earthquake categories here, they're down on the low end, kind of like a tornado would be EF 0 or 1. Earthquakes in that 2 to 3 range tend to be almost undetectable. The one area that we are most concerned with is the New Madrid seismic zone, which is down into New Madrid, Missouri, basically along the Mississippi River here and up toward Paducah. And then beyond this, we have another system of faults called the Wabash Valley Rift Zone or fault system that runs basically up the Wabash River. And if you've been paying attention, or if you live in like Wabash County, it seems like Keensburg, Belmont, in that area, we've had a number of tremors, and then farther up into Wabash County and all over southern Illinois. This is part of the Wabash Valley fault system. And these things, it's actually good to get a little tremor every now and then because it kind of lets off energy. The New Madrid is best known for the great big earthquake that happened in 1811 and 1812. One of the reasons we get devastating earthquakes, or can have devastating earthquakes in our part of the country, is we have silt and clay in the soil. And when we get a fault, or a fissure that then expands or contracts in an earthquake, it causes that sand to squirt out. And actually, geologists can show you, or if you know where to look on like Google Earth in the winter, sometimes you can see where there were sand boils or where there were these formations. New Harmony's another very active seismic area, has a lot of interesting geological features. Well, anyway, the point I'm making here is that these little quakes remind us that, we could have a much larger, more significant earthquake at some point. The last time the New Madrid fault went was 1811, 1812. Prior to that, it was in about 1450, and prior to that, it was around the year 900. So if you just kind of connect those dots, you would expect another similar type earthquake sometime in the next 200 to 300 years. In other words, you don't need to worry about it as an imminent threat, but rather always keep in the back of your mind that we are prone to earthquakes here in the tri-state. We just haven't had a bigger or more substantial one in many, many years. So just something a little different there for Science Corner. I know we're typically meteorology here, but anyway, I appreciate you watching. I will have some new information on 14 News at 10 tonight. In the meantime, you stay safe. Think about your severe weather plan for Thursday and Friday, and we will have continuing updates as we get closer to the event at the end of the week. We'll see you on 14 News at 10.